Hello, everybody. This is Christian speaking. Welcome to the live demo of the customer experience management component of Pimcore. I want to start the demo right in our public demo advanced and show you what we integrated and configured there. So the first part of this demo you can really try out for yourself later on and see that in action and see how this works out on our demo. So what you can see right now in the screen is the portal page of our demo, and what we also integrated here is this account section where you can log in and of course also register a new account, what we right now are also already doing. In this case, registering via Google. Coming back from Google, we get all the information, the important information from Google and can finish our registration, and then we already have created a new login. Of course, we can then log out again, can log in again, also again using the Google single sign-on service, and so have a hyper integrated login section in our demo website. So now let's do some actions on our website. For example, just go into the shopping area, put some products into the cart, and let's buy this product. Add some information here. Just confirm the order and start the payment. So this is not the main focus on this demo right now. So let's just jump over it and try to finish the order. When we go into the backend of our demo application, we see that the customer management component added a few folders and a few components and a few menu entries, and we will cover them now right away. But let's start first with our folders here in the data objects section, where we see first of all customers. Customers are nothing else than just normal Pimcore objects that have some required fields that have to be present. But other than these required fields, you have the full flexibility and the full power of the Pimcore data model component and class mapping functionalities, and you can set up your data model as you need it, as your use cases requires it. So you can just add additional information like you ever are used to in terms of Pimcore objects. For example, here we have standard base data of our customers. We have the authentication information like a password and all these single sign-on identities. And we have the segmentation area. We will cover that in a second. So first component of the customer management component, the customer experience management component of Pimcore is management of customers' data. And this customer data is stored as Pimcore objects with all the known functionalities of Pimcore objects. Second thing are the customer activities. These are added as an additional tab here in this customer objects class. And you can already see right here, this is the customer we just created before. We have already two activities. We logged in with this customer and we created an order with this customer, and we have also additional information of these orders like the order number, the total price, and the current order state here. So this is the place where all the customer activities go to. These activities can come from the website, like we just did it in the demo, but also these activities can come from any external system, like an external CRM system or whatever source for customer activities you might connect and you might want to import. So now we have two components. We have the customer data management as objects. We have these activities, which are stored not directly as objects, but in an additional data store and are visualized in this activities tab here. And then we have the third component, the segmentations. And customer segments are, again, nothing else then Pimcore objects. In this case, we have two types. We have a customer segment group, in this case, for example, a group for gender, and then we have the actual segments that are, in this case, female, male, not set if we don't know it, for example, and these are the customer segment objects. And now to assign a customer segment, we just use object relations, like they are completely common in Pimcore data models, and we can assign all the information to, or all the segments to our customers. And based on this relation, we can segment our customers and add additional functionalities to the customers. In this case, we separate between manual segments and calculated segments. Manual segments are, well, as the name suggests, segments that are manually added, and you just can add additional segments by dragging and dropping additional segment information. So this is information that is added manually by the editor. And then on the other side, we have the calculated segments, which are, as the name suggests, calculated by a so-called segment builder. So this is some logic that you can configure, that you can attach, that you can extend for your own needs. And this logic is responsible for calculating segments based on customer data and customer segments. And in this example, we have already additional calculated segments, like a segment for the state. And this information is calculated based on the address we have here in our customer information. And now just reload the customer object, because before I set the gender here in the backend, and we have additional here now the segment for the gender, which is also calculated automatically based on the gender that is set in the customer object. These are just really some very simple examples for calculated segments. These calculated segments can be, as complex as it might get. A bit more complex example we have here with this basketball segment here, which is assigned based on the order we did before, because we ordered a product that is in the basketball product category. And based on this information, we added the information, okay, this customer might be interested in basketball. So based on this information, we have all the data management functionality we need. We have this customer data as Pimcore objects. We have the activities that are connected to the customer and are shown in this activity tab here. And we have the segments that are, again, just normal Pimcore objects that are linked to the customers. And therefore, we create the segmentation of the customers. To get an overview of all the customers, we, of course, can use all the standard Pimcore functionality, like the object rig and all these kind of things. And in addition to that, the customer management framework adds a customer view, which is just an additional view on the customer objects, lists all the customers with some information like name, email, gender, and segment information, and provides lots of filter functionality, like a full text search here, or like filters on specific attributes, or filters for certain interests. For example, now let's just filter for basketball. And now it lists all customers, in this case just one, that have the segment basketball assigned. And so I can create segmented lists, pre-filtered lists of my customers that I have stored in my system. And based on this list, then I can, for example, export the information as CSV or as Excel and use this in any external system, for example, for creating an ad hoc newsletter in some marketing newsletter tool, and send an information for all the customers that are interested in basketball, like in this case we have here. Of course, we also have a detail page for this customer here, which is in the standard not very fancy, but you always can create some additional views here and customize this view for your needs and make a fancy customer preview, customer view of the data. And of course, you always can open the actual Pimcore object directly from this view. So you can go back to the data where you can modify the data and see all the details you have stored for the customer. Let's go back to the menu. What we have, what we else have here. Next entry is the customer duplicates view, which shows us potential duplicates in our customer store. The customer experience management framework ships with an advanced duplicate detection functionality that you can configure and set up for certain use cases and certain needs. And especially you can configure which fields should be compared and how strictly this comparison should be, or in other words, how fuzzy the tolerance should be to see if some customers might be duplicates or not. And in our sample we have right here a potential duplicate of customers, and you already can see, okay, this is not an exact match. It's just, it might be a match. You see the email address is completely different. The first name is the same. The last name is, somehow the same, but there might be a typo. The street is again the same. The street number is again different. And zip and city is again the same. The system in this case cannot decide if this is a duplicate or not. So it asks the editor to decide, is this a duplicate or not? And if the editor decided, he can either merge the customer by clicking merge, then he has such a split view of all the attributes of the customer objects, and he can decide, okay, which information I want to take for merging the customer objects. Or as an alternative, I can decline the duplicate, and then in the future the system knows, okay, these two customers are no duplicate, even if they are quite similar, and will not bother you again in terms of decide if this is a duplicate or not. The next point we have here in our menu already goes to the next big area of the customer management framework. As we saw it in the presentation, the first big component is the data management with customer data, with activities, with all this segmentation information. And the second thing is automation, marketing automation based on this information. And what we have right here in the system is custom automation rules, where I can configure rules for automating things. To be very generic, let's make that a bit more concrete in a concrete example here. I can configure rules, and these rules have some meta information like a name, like a description, whether they are active or not. They have triggers. We already saw triggers before in the presentation. There are several triggers. Some of them are already also available in the demo. In this case, we have a new customer activity. So if a new customer activity is tracked, then this rule should be triggered. There are also some additional triggers like a cron. So this is called or triggered as on a regular base, or when the segment building process that is running in the background is started, then this would be an additional trigger. So now we triggered the rule. Then there are some conditions, because this rule should only apply for some certain circumstances, some certain environments. And for this, I can configure conditions I can combine these conditions and set up and, or, and not, and put brackets and all these kind of things. And in this case, we have just two simple conditions who are counting activities of a certain type. In this case, count the customer order activities and check if they are more than one and less than three. So exactly two customer orders should be present in order to make the action happen. These conditions, of course, can also be other conditions, like a customer has a certain segment, or even filter this on a certain customer. And of course, these conditions can be extended with many more, as also the triggers can be extended, of course. And then if the condition applies, some action has to take place. In this case, we want to add a segment to the customer. In this case, not just any segment, but a segment that is called regular customer, which shows us, okay, this customer is not a new customer anymore, but it's a customer who orders on a regular basis in our shop. In addition to that, we also can change some customer field value, for example, and as the same with triggers and condition, also the actions can be extended and new actions can be added for certain use cases in this case. So let's just try this this automation rule in real life scenario. So this, again, this customer automation rule says, okay, if a customer has exactly two orders made, then it should be applied a regular customer segment. Let's have a look at our customer. Just reload it to make sure we have the actual data here. And right now we have the new customer segment assigned to the customer, but we don't have the regular customer segment assigned to it. And if we have a look at the activities, we see, oh, there's just one customer order and not two. So let's go back to the front end and let's order an additional thing here. Just put in the cart, start the payment, and supply the payment. Okay, now I pressed too fast. We have to start the payment again because we messed it up. Need to be a bit more patient. So now the order is completed. And when we go back to our customer here, let's just reload the information. Have a look at the activities. Now we see, okay, customer has two activities for customer order, yay. And if we have a look at the segmentation, we see the new customer segment is removed and we have an additional regular customer segment assigned here. And based on this information, then, I can build up my customer profiles. I can store all the information. I can enrich this information based on the customer behavior, and I can use this information for personalizing all the customer experience I'm providing with Pimcore. One example for this personalizing is the built-in personalization engine of Pimcore, which we have right now in a quite extensive state, but currently we are also working on it to making it even more sophisticated and extending the possibilities that are available for this customer personalization engine. Right now we have two big areas, which are global targeting rules and so-called target groups. Let's start with the target groups. Target groups are, let's call them some buckets where I want to group my customers in. And for these customers, then I can create personalized content in this case. In the demo, we have already created one target group, which is in this case called outdoor customer. And this outdoor customer has some settings. We can or could define some entry conditions. So if a customer or a visitor of our website applies to some of these conditions, or to the configured condition here, is immediately assigned to this target group. Or in addition, we can assign target groups to users based on their behavior. And this is where the global targeting rules come into place, where I can configure roles similar to the marketing automation roles we had for the customers. And here we can configure, again, some meta information. Then we can configure some conditions. In this case, the condition is, okay, every time the user visits some URL on our website that starts with en shop outdoor and whatever comes behind it, if this applies, then the action is applied. In addition to the URL condition, we have many other conditions that we can configure and combine with each other, again, with and, or, and not, and brackets and all these kind of things. And then I have several actions that I can configure here. For example, I can redirect, I can react on it on a programmatic way, on server side, I can issue an event, I can add a code snippet, or as we do it here, I can assign a target group to the current user of our website. So now we have two components. We have configured personas or target groups, and we have configured some global targeting rules that configure or set up the way that I apply target groups to users of my website. In this case, if I visit an area in the outdoor section of our shop, then this target group should get applied to the current user. And the third part now is I need to define customized or personalized content for a certain target group. And this is where it goes to the document section of Pimcore. And now if I open some document, let's hope that nobody destroyed our demo right now. No, looks good. I have here the portal page we saw before. And then I have the possibility to configure a different version of this portal page, in this case, specific for our target group outdoor customers. And now I have pretty much a copy of the portal page, and I can configure or set up some fields or any field and can personalize the content. So I can, for example, change the text here or say, okay, outdoor customer might have interests in different products. So let's just go for products. Let's obviously use some outdoor products here. And let's go for here an outdoor product and override this and use maybe some rainwear stuff. And then another footwear maybe. And here, let's say maybe we need some tents and use a tent. And now I configured a personalized version of the portal page just for the outdoor customer. Now, when I save it, then let's go and have a look at our demo frontend again. I just created an incognito tab to be a new customer in this case, and I see the standard version with all the non-outdoor products on the portals page. And now let's just visit the outdoor section, have a look at a few products here, maybe filter a bit, have a look at different products. Now we maybe want to also see female products. This one, no, not this one. Aqua, this, no, maybe not. We configured somehow that you need to visit at least 10 pages in this auto section before this target group is assigned. So now I should be up to 10 pages somehow. And then I visit or go back to the portal page now and have a look at this page here. Now I see, okay, it's not the standard portal page anymore. It's now the personalized personalized portal page for the outdoor customer that I get it outright and see the outdoor products and also this modified headline here in this teaser. So this is the first personalization functionality, or not the first, it's somehow the personalization feature of Pimcore that is built right in, that is shipping with Pimcore Core, and where you can use all this customer experience functionality right away here. In addition to personalizing the website and the direct output of Pimcore, it's also possible, of course, to personalize other marketing channels, for example, direct mailing. And to show you this one, we have to switch to a different demo instance, in this case, this development instance here of our customer management framework, because in this case we connect Mailchimp to Pimcore, and we cannot provide this on a public demo since you need a public Mailchimp account then, and this is not possible. That's the reason why we have this part of the demo only available in our internal systems. But it's not much different to the public one. We have some customers here, or let's just go maybe for the customer view. We have some more customers in this instance than we have on the demo. So there is quite a list of customers. Let's have a look if I am already in the system here. So you see, okay, I have a Pimcore address here, but I want to get a different user instance of mine. So let's just go to the front end, which is really a very basic front end here, but register here. Very secure, high sophisticated private area here, but this is not the point I want to make. The point I want to make is that I want to have an additional user here. Now this is the just created user, and when I open the user object here, again, it's just a Pimcore object, but in this case, it looks a bit different than the user object in the public advanced demo. And this is the flexibility you have with this framework. You have to implement a few important fields, but you also have the possibility to add all the additional information you might need for your several use cases, and have, of course, all the data modeling power of Pimcore. So let's just save this customer here. Maybe let's just add a date of birth. You never know if you need it somehow. So some date. And in addition to the date, we go to this newsletter status tab, where we have the MailChimp integration into Pimcore. And in this case, we have two lists in MailChimp configured, and we want to subscribe this user for the first list here. And now when we save the customer here and say the state to pending, then we should now get an email, and now I already have it from my colleague here. If I want to confirm the subscription, so let's say yes, configure that I'm not a robot, and now I'm subscribed to the list. And let's just log into MailChimp. As my colleague in this case. And when we have a look at the lists, and this one is the list we just subscribe to, and we see, okay, my name here is appearing. And what you also see is there is information synchronized from Pimcore, like first name, last name, the birth date, additional MailChimp specific information, and also some segments which are exported as groups to MailChimp. And now let's just switch back to Pimcore and see what segments we have configured here in this customer objects. Okay, we have age group and the gender segment. Let's see if we can export some additional. For example, let's say I'm interested in skis. Let's make sure that these segments are also exported to MailChimp. And now, when we reload the customer in MailChimp, we should have additionally have this interest ski also as information in MailChimp. And then I can work on this information in MailChimp, like creating certain campaigns for users that are just interested in ski. So now we have data management. Where is my? There is my correct instance. Now we have data management, and we have the customers exported to MailChimp. The next step would be to set up a campaign. And this campaign, of course, is just set up with an email, because it's an email campaign within MailChimp. And I have two possibilities, of course. I can create this email template directly in MailChimp, or as an alternative, I can create this mail template with Pimcore, use the full power of Pimcore here, and also all the information that I have stored in Pimcore, like all the assets, like all the object information, all these kind of things. Let's just create a very simple sample newsletter. For example, biker news. This is really a very basic template right now. You can configure and create whatever template information you might need for this mail. And of course, use all the full power of Pimcore, like we have here in a very simple example, use all the area brick functionality of Pimcore and configure all the different area bricks you might need here. So this is some information for our bikers, for example. We can add text here. We can add images here. Let's just see if we have a nice biker image. And of course, can put in all the information here. Let's maybe just add an additional block here and say this is special information for our female guests. Add a nice image for female. And in this case, we say this block we only want to see, we only want to be shown to female guests and not to male guests, because this is just some special information for female guests. In this case, we can open this filter here and say, let's filter or show this only for persons that have the segment female assigned, and add this information here. Then we can save it, export that template to MailChimp, and we go back to MailChimp and see the template section. We have here biker news. That's the template we just created, and we have all the information transferred to MailChimp. And as you can see here, also automatically added some merge tags that customize and personalize the email just for our purposes we configured in Pimcore backend. And let's just set up a campaign. Let's create a new one, create an email campaign, my new demo. Again, choose a list. and filter this list. So let's just have a look where group or new segment. Here I can filter. I just want to filter this list for just my email address. That's not too many emails are sent. When I update the recipients, I see there is just one recipient here. I need, of course, add a subject to my mail list, and then I can go and use the save template, the template that I just added to the MailChimp templates via export from Pimcore. And here I see already I have this information for bikers, which I exported. I have this special information for female guests, have the images, all these kind of things. And now when I go to preview, just to make sure that this works properly, and say, okay, now I want to use live data for the merge tags. I see, okay, of course, all the names and other merge tags are replaced, and also this special female information here disappeared because my user is marked as male and I'm not interested in the female content. So this personalization of emails works right now seamlessly with MailChimp here in this case. And when I send out this information or this email, this campaign, then the newsletter or the mailing is personalized for every recipient based on his information that is stored in Pimcore and in MailChimp. So now we have had a look at the data management. We have had a look at the personalization feature that ships with Pimcore. And also we had a look at the marketing automation functionalities, like this marketing automation rules based on the behavior of the users of our websites, and also marketing automation functionalities in combination with email provider like MailChimp you have seen right now. But of course, you can connect any mailing provider to Pimcore and to the customer management component. Like, for example, we already have integrated the IPM Marketing Cloud. For the end, I have prepared some technical stuff or boring architecture overview, which might be interesting, especially for the developers. And when I go through it very quickly, you will discover that many of the components we touched in the demo so far. So we had the data entities with customers, with activities, with customer segments and customer segment groups. We had the activity manager. Somehow indirectly, this activity manager is just responsible for storing all this activity information and dealing with lots of data. Then we had touched the duplicate service. We had touched the segment manager and this segment builders, which is the place for this automatic logic of creating or assigning segments to customers. We have, of course, touched somehow the customer save manager, who is responsible for saving customer, for validating the customers, and also triggering events and triggers if necessary. We have touched the social login and single sign-on functionality right at the beginning of the demo. We, of course, have touched the action trigger service with all this customer automation or marketing automation rules, with event handlers, with events, with triggers, with conditions, with actions, and with the action manager who puts all these pieces together. And we had a look at list views with the activity view on the customer object and the customer view with all this filter functionality. And we have had a look at the MailChimp integration, where we transferred the customer data and the template data to MailChimp and used it there for campaigns. In addition to that, we have also integrated a REST API for importing and exporting customer data. It's a really stripped down, simple API for working with this information so that you can connect, as we said at the beginning, pretty much any system as data source to this Pimcore customer experience management. And in addition to this information or this functionality that runs right within your Pimcore instance, we have created the so-called Pimcore Experience Cloud, which will help us with tasks like data mining, big data, creating really advanced segment builders, and doing really data mining based on customer data and its activities. This will be based on the Elastic Stack and will be an additional component of Pimcore. And we will do lots of magnificent stuff with these tools here. So far, so good. I hope you got a good impression of what Pimcore can do in terms of customer data management, and marketing automation. I hope you enjoyed it. And stay tuned. There's lots of cool stuff ahead, and we'll provide you further insights in further webinars.